going to do is just have you, I'm going to put the whole thing up here and have you write it down and then explain it. And then do that for each slide. I think that works better anyway. So here you go. Okay. So every muscle cell-ish, sometimes fascicles of muscles, have a nerve fiber that runs to them. Okay, and if we're talking about skeletal muscle, then your brain sends a signal. Well, actually, if we're talking about smooth muscle, your brain sends a signal too, but it's not consciously. It's done from the involuntary part of your brain. Brain sends a signal to the muscle. When the nerve gets to the muscle, there's a neurotransmitter. We're going to talk about neurotransmitters with the nervous system later called acetylcholine. ACH is what it's abbreviated as. The release of that forces open channels in the cell. Those channels opening up trigger the release of calcium ions. Remember we said yesterday that the sarcoplasmic reticulum stores calcium ions. So SR stands for sarcoplasmic reticulum. Those ions are released into the surrounding muscle. And remember that what we see on the inside then, I'm going to back up a slide. So as the nerve brings the message in, okay, these little green dots here are calcium ions. As it sends its message and the message spreads down the muscle in this direction really fast, calcium ions are released into the muscle. That's where we're at right now. Okay? Upon release of the calcium ions, the muscle will contract. Now I'm going to have you write all this, and then I'm going to explain again. So, at rest, binding sites are covered. What does that mean? Well, let me explain. The inside of your muscle, we talked about this yesterday, are myosin here in blue and actin. This is thick and that's thin. So when your muscle is relaxed, the Z lines are here. These are called the Z lines, remember? And the actin's attached to those. There are little things on the myosin that are going to hook on. When you decide to contract your muscle, when you decide I'm going to flex my muscle or bend my bicep or straighten my tri-arm, whatever, little things in here called myosin heads attached to what are called binding sites on actin. When you're relaxed, those binding sites are covered up. So when your brain sends a message to your muscle to contract, when your brain sends a message to the muscle to contract, calcium floods in, opens those up, and these hook on. Okay? They hook on, and then what they're going to do is they're each going to pull in this direction. This one is going to pull this way, this one's going to pull that way, and what will end up happening is that will come that way, and that will come that way. So they're kind of in loaded position, and then they're going to pull in that direction. I'm going to show you an example of this in animation in a minute. Okay? Leave it there for now. We'll come back to all of this with an animation. So write this all down. And like I said, I'll show you the animation in a second. All right. I'll just read this back to you because it's going to be a little bit confusing. Myosin releases and recox only with ATP. Then it attaches to the next site. It repeats until full contraction is reached. They slide past each other. Myosin heads resemble caterpillar walking. I'm not sure that you need to write that. But you think about how a caterpillar, if you've ever seen a caterpillar walk along a leaf, this leg is moving, then this leg is catching up, kind of, I don't know, these don't all move together, is the idea. So if we look at this website a second, okay, here's an animation of the same idea. All right, now let me take a second and label it so you know where we're at. Okay? This is myosin. This is actin. This is the Z-line thing. It's actually something there to it. Okay, notice that. So your muscle runs like this. Okay, except it's way bigger than that. I wouldn't even be able to draw the muscle on the screen. So I'm going to contract my bicep. These lines right here, these two lines are going to move in this direction towards each other. So nerve brings a message from the brain to contract. Okay, and that's where we're at. Now I'm going to have to get the ink off the slide and show you the... Okay? Here come the calcium ions in. Pause. Okay? This is myosin. I'm going to draw arrows on this again for the people that are watching this. Okay? This is the myosin. This is the actin. Okay? They're showing it right up here in the top. These are the little myosin heads right here. Okay? They're all set to go. Here comes the calcium ions. Okay, calcium ions make this. You don't have to know troponin and tropomyosin, but they move it away. The actin, the myosin head is going to attach eventually. Okay, they show it literally moving up. It really kind of doesn't. Okay, these just hook on. And pull. Okay, hook on and pull. Now, in order for those to let go, you need to have ATP, which is a source of energy for cells, which we haven't really talked about yet, but we're going to. So, if you see what's happened now is we've pulled, this green thing has pulled this blue thing in that direction. Okay? ATP releases, hook back on, pull again. Now, what they're not showing up here is that that pulling motion is moving this line in this direction, and the same thing is happening over here and moving that line in that direction. So the overall effect is to do what? Shorten, pull these together, which shortens your muscle, which makes it pull on the tendon that pulls up your arm or pulls up your jaw or whatever it has to do. Okay? Now, what's incredible about this is how fast it actually happens. Right? To you, there's no delay between me whipping this pen at you and you putting your hand up or ducking or contracting a muscle to get out of the way. But the message has to go to your brain, be processed, send a message down a nerve, calcium ions have to flood in, this has to attach, this has to open up, this has to attach, that has to pull a bunch of times to get the whole muscle to contract far enough for you to move. All that quick. I think it's really cool. But that's just me. Some of you think it's so cool you're falling asleep.